शिवाय।
ओम
शांति शांति शांति।
ओम तत्सत। ओम नमः शिवाय। So Tanmay, would you please chant verse number 31 to 37?
Om Acharya. Avityakam shariradi drishyam budbudavaksharam
आविद्याकं शरीरादि
दृश्यं
बुद्बुद्वक्षरम्
दृश्यं बुद्बुद्वक्षरम्
एतत् विलक्षणं विद्यात् अहं ब्रह्मेति निर्मलम्
एतद्विलक्षणं विद्यात् अहं ब्रह्मेति निर्मलम्।
एहान्यत्वान्न मे जन्म जरा कार्श्यलयादयः
देहान्यत्वान्न मे जन्म जरा कार्श्यलयादयः
शब्दादिविषयै सङ्गः निरिन्द्रयतयान च
शब्दादिविषयै सङ्गः निरिन्द्रयतयान च।
अमनस्त्वान्न मे दुःख रागद्वेषभयादयः
अमनस्त्वान्न मे दुःख
रागद्वेषभयादयः
अप्राणो यमना शुभ्र इत्यादि श्रुतिशासना
अप्राणो
यमना शुभ्र इत्यादि श्रुतिशासना।
निर्गुणो निष्क्रियो नित्यः निर्विकल्पो निरञ्जनः
निर्गुणो निष्क्रियो नित्यः निर्विकल्पो निरञ्जनः
निर्विकारो निराकारः नित्यमुक्तोऽसि निर्मलः
निर्विकारो
निर्मलः।
अहमाकाशवत् सर्वं बहिरन्तर्गतोऽच्युतः
बहिरन्तर्गतोऽच्युतः
तदा सर्वसमशुद्धः निस्सङ्गो निर्मलो जलः
सदा
सर्वसंगो निर्मलो जलः
नित्यशुद्ध विमुक्तैकम् अखण्डानन्दमद्वयम्
नित्यशुद्धविमुक्तैकम् अखण्डानन्दमद्वयम्
सत्यं ज्ञानम् अनन्तं यत् परं ब्रह्माहमेव तत्
सत्यं ज्ञानम् अनन्तं यत् परं ब्रह्माहमेव तत्।
एवं निरन्तराभ्यस्ता ब्रह्मैवास्मीति वासना
एवं
एवं
निरन्तराभ्यासः
निरन्तराभ्यस्ता
ब्रह्मैवास्मीति वासना
ब्रह्मैवास्मीति वासना
हरत्य विद्या विक्षेपान् रोगान्निवरसायनम्
विद्याविक्षेपान् रोगानीवरसायनम्. Om, thank you. Okay, so now look at the words. This is the 31st sloka of this text. So he says drishyam, the third word of the first line. What is drishyam? Drishyam is an object which you experience. Anything which is seen, that is drishyam. So drishyam, an object of experience. And like what? He gives an example. Shariradi drishyam. Shariradi, second word. So shariradi drishyam means all objects of experience, like your shariram, body. And the adi means the rest of it. Indriya, manaha, buddhi, all that. These are all objects of experience. And what is the source of this? What is the cause of this experience? Avidya, avidyakam, born from avidya, born from maya. And he gives an example. Budbudavat ksharam. So ksharam is what? Perishable. Budbudavat. What indicates like. So like a budbuda. Budbuda is a bubble in the water. So all these objects of experience, they are having a temporary existence, and therefore ksharam. They are all ksharam, temporary existence, like the bubble in the water, which, as you know, even as you look at the bubble disappears. So he is distinguishing here. There is avidyakam shariradi drishyam, which are all like the bubbles in the water. And what else is there? There is drishyam. What else should be there? When you talk about drishyam, what are you presuming?
There's a perceiver.
Drishta or the drik, either way. Okay, if you remember the text we had done, drik drishya. So you can say drishta also, it's drik also. So what am I? I am the drik. I am the drishta, the seer. And what is my nature? Etad aham vilakshanam. So that you can see in the second line. You have to break it up carefully. Aham, the third word, etad vilakshanam. I am different from all these. All these what? All these drishyam. All the things which I experience, I am different from. And therefore, vidyat, through the study of the scriptures, vidyat only, you will understand that aham etad vilakshanam. I am different from all the drishyam. And what am I really? Aham brahmeti nirmalam. Aham brahma iti. Or rather, aham nirmalam brahma iti. That is my understanding. I am the nirmalam, the untainted, ever pure Brahma. Iti. This is the understanding. And what is that? Asangaha. Ever independent, like the sky. Ever independent, like the sky. And what is the nature of this sky? It accommodates everything. Everything is accommodated in Akasha. Not sky, space. In space. But I am untouched by what is being accommodated. All the impurities belong to that which is accommodated, never to me, who is the accommodating entity. And what are the impurities? The fundamental impurities are three gunas. Therefore, Maya. And so here he is saying that I am not Maya Karyam. I am not the product of Maya, nor am I Maya itself. Therefore, etad vilakshana. I am different from all that. And if you remember Bhagavad Gita, there were three Purushas talked about. One is Maya Karyam, which was called Kshara Purushaha. That Purusha which can be destroyed. Then there is a Akshara Purushaha, which was Maya Karanam. So this is a special reading where there are three entities. Normally Aksharam means Brahman, but in in that Bhagavad Gita chapter, we saw that Maya Karyam is Shara Purushaha, it is the destructible entity. Maya is Akshara Purushaha, relatively indestructible, because it is the Karanam for Shara Purushaha. So Maya Karyam is Shara Purushaha, Maya Karanam is Akshara Purushaha. And there was another word used, you remember, to represent me? Uttama Purushaha. So I am the Uttama Purushaha. Maya is the Akshara Purushaha, the Karanam, and Maya Karyam is the product, the universe, the Drishyam, which is subject to destruction. So, very beautiful take on that Bhagavad Gita chapter, summarized in one verse. So, if you remember the last verse we did, verse number 30 and verse number 31, they were talking about the nature of Brahman. So they are in these two verses, the slokas 30 and 31, they are in the nature of Shravanam. Now this sloka, now 32, is a Mananam sloka. And what is Mananam for? Samshaya Nivritti Arthaha, for the destruction of any doubts, for the resolution of any doubts. And what is the doubt? Though after Shravanam, I know I am Brahman, but I am still constantly insecure in my relationships, in my money, in old age. We all know that even though we have studied and we have understood that we are Brahman, even then insecurities don't go away. Therefore, the question here is, how can you say Aham Brahma Asmi when I am constantly conscious of the fact that I am growing old, that I may not have insufficient money in my old age? All these things I'm constantly aware of, and therefore I'm constantly insecure. So whenever this doubt comes, what is the question that I must ask? Because I am saying two things. I am Brahman and I am saying I am getting old. So what is the question that I must ask? And I've repeated this hundreds of times in our classes. What is the fundamental question that you ask when you are the teaching that has been given, when some doubt arises? What is the fundamental question that I have to ask?
Ravichi, may
Yes. Please, Nataraj.
who is the I you are referring to?
Exactly. You have to ask. Very good. So you have to say, what do you mean by the word I? And then after asking the question, then you recall the teaching and answer that if I am referring to the body and the mind, that body and mind, that I referring to the body and mind can never claim itself to be Brahman. The body can never be secure because the body is subject to Shadvikara. Body is subject to all the problems of the world. It is matter, and matter is ever changing. The ever changing body, how can it ever be secure? Right? So for example, in Ramayana, you have King Dasharath. He had 4 sons, very loyal sons who would obey whatever he said blindly. But Dasharatha dies alone, showing you that whatever it is, the body is subject to insecurity. And therefore that I, if you want to say that I am Brahma, Aham Brahma Asmi, you have to say, you have to be very clear in your mind that whenever I am making this statement that I am Brahman, I have dropped the body and the mind and the intellect. I am talking about the consciousness principle alone, that Atma, that Aham Brahma Asmi. You cannot identify yourself with the body and claim, because then it is a meaningless claim. It's only on the lips. That both words are only in the tongue. It doesn't assimilate. And therefore he says, Deha Anyaha na me janmaha. Other than this body, so you have to break it up carefully. Na me janmaha deha anyat. Anyatvat. Deha anyatvat na me janmaha. Other than this body, I do not have janma. I do not have a birth. So this has to be carefully understood. Whenever I say I am born, he is talking about the body. Whenever I say I am Brahman, it is Deha Anyatvat. Other than the body, I am that consciousness principle. I do not have a birth. I do not have a death. And if I do not have a birth, I do not have any of the Shadvikaras. Neither old age is there, nor Apakshiyate is there, nor Vinasyati is there. Nothing is there. I am not bothered about the other Vikara. And therefore he is going thin. So for example, in old age, the body becomes thin and weak. And this is one of the constant problems which bother you as you grow old. Another 4 years, will I be able to get up from the bed? Will I be able to walk at all? All these fears will bother you. And there's of course laya, maranam, that also is there. But when I say that I am asangaha, so look at this word, shabda vishayi sangaha. Now, I have no connection with shabda, etc. Shabda, etc. is what? The 5 fields of operation of the 5 sense organs. So, shabda, gandha, rasa, rupa, sparsha. I am asangaha. I am not touched. I have no connection with these. I am not touched by any of the sense objects. Why? Because nir-indriyataya. I have no indriyas at all. The indriyas are necessary for these 5 areas of operation, shabda, gandha, rasa, rupa, sparsha. And since I as Atma, I am nirindriyataya, I have no indriyas at all, where is the question of being touched by any of these changes? So this nirindriyataya here is the hetu, the reason being quoted for the asangatvam of the Atma. Why is the Atma having no connection at all? Why is it without any connection to anything? Because it does not have any indriyas at all. And why don't I have any indriyas? Because indriyas are born from Maya, which is Vyavaharika Satyam. And I, the Atma, belong to Paramarthika Satyam, a different level of reality. And then he says, Satya Anrityoho Sanga Naiva Bhavati. There can never be a connection of Satyam with Anitya, with Anirtya. Anirtya is Mithya, another word for Mithya, false. So Satyam can never have a connection, Sangaha, with Mithya. Satya, Mithyayoho, Sangam, Naiva Bhavati. There can never be a connection between Satyam and Mithya. There can never be a connection between Paramarthika Satyam and Vyavaharika Satyam. Just like in the waking state, I cannot eat the ice cream of my dreaming state. Similarly, though the states are clearly experienced, there can be no interlinkages at all. Okay. So this is meant for Mananam, to dispel my doubts of how I can really be Brahman. You have to be very clear in your mind that as Brahman, I belong to Paramarthika Satyam. There is no connection at all with the mind, the body, the sense organs, the world and its objects. And therefore, where is the question of being affected by any of those? That is what is being said. Now, we look at the 33rd verse. And 33rd verse says, Amanastvat, because of not being the mind. Amanaha. Amanaha is the first part. Amanaha stvat, because of not being the mind, because of being amanaha. What do I not have? Name dukkha raga dvesha bhaya adayaha. So that has to be broken up carefully. Dukkha raga dvesha bhaya adi. That is, I do not have any sorrow. I do not have any attachments. I do not have any hatred. I do not have any fear, etc. Name dukkha raga dvesha bhaya adi. And he quotes from an Upanishad. Aprano hyamanaha shubbraha ityadi shruti sasanat. So shruti sasanat means, sasanam is the instruction of the shruti. Aprano hyamanaha means without pranaha and without manaha. Which means what? If you are talking about no prana and no mana, we have done this mantra in the Upanishad. Do you remember which Upanishad now? We have done only one Upanishad. You should remember.
Mundaka.
Mundaka, right? So without prana and without mind, what are you referring to? I have no prana and I have no mind. This is what he is saying. I, as Atma, I am free of prana, I am free of mind. I am free of what?
Free from death and birth.
No, more specifically.
Koshas and Antakaran.
Which one? Which one?
Sthula and Sukshma.
Ahankar.
The pranamaya,
Pranamaya and
Ahankar.
Manomaya Kosha. And the
Which is
Vijnanamaya
what? Which is Sukshma Shariram.
Yeah.
Right. Aprano Yamanaha means I am free of the two koshas, and you have to include Vijnanamaya over here. So it becomes I am free of Sukshma Shariram. If I am free of Sukshma Shariram, what is it that I don't have? I don't have birth. I don't have death. And not only that, Shubhraha Ityadi Shruti Shasanat. I am Shubhraha. I am very pure. So declares the Shruti. Then, since this is Mananam Sloka, I am doing Mananam while reciting the sloka, and therefore some doubts may come. If I am Atma, how come I am angry and I am jealous and I am upset at some other times? What does Shankara say? He says all these are vrittis, manovrittis, which belong to Anatma. And therefore, amanastvat, I am the Atma without the mind. Therefore, where is the scope for any of these vrittis? All the anger, jealousy, any emotion which you have, it belongs to the mind only. It is resident in the mind. And here, I, the Atma, I am without mind because I am without Sukshma Shariram. Therefore, whatever belongs to the mind, where is the scope for anything disturbing me? And therefore, all the states of mind, all the emotions, dukkha, raga, dvesha, bhaya, etc., name, it is not for me. So you have to supply name santi. These are not there for me at all. And how do we know that this statement that I am without the mind is true? That is because it is Shruti Pramanam. If you remember, the Shruti Pramanam is Divyo Yamurta Purushaha Sabhayabantro Yajaha Aprano Yammana Ashubhraha Yaksharat Parataf Paraha. The second verse, second mantra over there. And Amurtaha. Amurtaha here refers to Sthula Shariram not being there. Murtaha. Murti is the form. So Sthula Shariram not being there. Aprano Amanaha refers to Sukshma Shariram not being there. So in this mantra from Mundaka, he has said that I do not have Sthula Shariram, I do not have Sukshma Shariram. And to complete that, we have to supply, as we said during the class, Mundaka class, we have to supply Karana Sharira Rahitam. So first I say that Atma is Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharira, Yatadiktaha. I am different from the three bodies. This is only the first stage. That the statement that I am different from three bodies is for the student who is not beginner, but who is slightly advanced. But later on, my understanding should be that there is no such thing as Sthula, Sukshma, Karana bodies. They are not there at all. So first we accept that they are existent. Later we say they are existent, but they are not really existent because they are superimposed. Adhyasa, they are karyam, they are maya, they are namarupa. And later on we say, we negate all that and say there is really nothing apart from Brahman. Therefore, nothing, no world exists other than Brahman. So ityadi Shruti Shasanat. Shasanam here means the teaching from the Shruti Pramanam. From that teaching alone, we come to know that Atma is different from Shariratrayam. And therefore, whenever I say Aham Brahmasmi, I should be very clear that I am not referring to the body, the mind, and the intellect. Aham Brahmasmi is a valid statement only when the Aham refers to the Chaitanyam, the consciousness principle only. Any other reference means when Aham Brahmasmi is said, your reference is only Atma. Then only the statement is valid. If it refers to any Anatma person, the statement is invalid and it is only lying on the tongue. It has not been absorbed at all. Okay. Now we look at verse number 34.
Om Acharya ji, can I ask something over here, please?
Yeah, please.
When we are saying that even the Karan, Sharir and everything is Anatma only, there is nothing except the consciousness.
Yes.
then the Shruti, Praman and everything, this also just simply becomes a concept in itself. There is no, this is also all mithya then.
It is part of mithya, definitely. But what is your understanding of mithya?
On an intellectual level, this is whatever is not the consciousness is mithya. So
Correct. So I don't see any contradiction in the statement that you made. All this is indeed mithya.
In fact,
But-
Shruti statement says the same thing about all the books, so to speak.
Yeah. All texts, all Vedas, everything is mithya only.
okay.
And that is the first stage of the learning. But later on, you will come to know that there is no mithya at all. Everything is only Brahman.
Right, because here we are still dividing between mithya and satyam. So that is why we break into big
That
concepts.
understanding is
And
very
satyam.
dangerous. The understanding that mithya is different from satyam is a
From
very
satyam.
dangerous understanding. Can anybody explain why?
If it is different, then it is duality and not Advaitam.
Mithya depends on Satyam.
Mithya depends upon satyam. There is no mithya without satyam. There is no gold bangle without the gold. And therefore, the distinction is only in form. The distinction is only in form. There is no real distinction. That is why I don't know if you all read that long discussion I gave about Parinami and Upadana Karanam. Very, very important discussion.
Yes.
If you have not read, you should read it
No.
again and again and again till you understand.
Still trying to figure that out. Right. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Now we look at the 34th verse. Nirguno nishkriyoho nityo nirvikalpo niranjanaha nirvikaro nirakaroho nityamukpospi nirmalaha. So from this verse onwards, the next 4 or 5 verses, they are nididhyasanam. So very, very systematically, Shankara is progressing. First Shravanam, then Maranam, then nididhyasanam. This may all sound a bit, very rushed for those people who have not completed the Bhagavad Gita and at least one Upanishad, because this is an advanced text. So Shankara is presuming that everybody knows what he's talking about. So if you don't know, just hang on. In due course, everything will become clear. So the question is, after Shravanam, what is the benefit? It is Jnanam. And it is Jnanam with doubts. So after Shravanam, you will have Samshaya Sahita Jnanam. Jnanam with the possibility of some doubts. After Mananam, what will you have?
Sanshay Rahit Jnanam.
Samshaya Rahita Jnanam. The Samshayam, the doubts have gone, and you have now got knowledge which is very firm, which is not, swayed by any doubts. What knowledge is that? What is this doubtless knowledge that you have got?
Aham Brahmasmi.
Aham Brahma Asmi. It's as very simple as that. If the Shravanam has been proper and the Mananam has been proper, then you are now in possession of doubtless knowledge that you are Brahman. Okay, that is the advantage of the first two. And now comes, a lot of people, a lot of teachers, a lot of darshanas, they say that Shravanam and Mananam is fine, but then you have to experience the Atma after that. So Atma Anubhava should be there. It's a very common misunderstanding. So the first thing to understand is that Nididhyasanam is never for Atma Anubhava. Why do we make the statement that you do not need to work separately for Atma Anubhava? Why do we make the statement?
Because knowledge in itself, it takes us to the level of the Atma.
You know you are Brahman.
Look at the statement you have made. It takes us to the level of Atma.
Okay, matlab, it.
You see?
Because I am Atma.
I am
You are
Brahman.
Atma. That is correct. But then you remember the discussion we had at the beginning of Atma Bodha on the process of knowledge. How does knowledge take place? For example, pot thought. How do I know that something is a pot? Anybody wants to explain that portion? I have a pot in front of me. What is the process which has led to the cognition of the pot?
The pot vritti.
The form is taken in by the
Vritti
sense
No, no.
organ.
To be able to understand fully, you have to explain the full process. It's a two-stage process.
Oh.
What is the
The
process?
pot vritti becomes the pot jnanam.
No. Okay, I'll
Only
explain.
when it is imbued with consciousness, then it becomes the jnanam.
Very good. So first what happens is there is the pot in front of you. So a vritti in the mind is born, which is the pot vritti, right? The mind is inert or conscious, jada or mind is
Jada.
inert, mind is jada. So the pot vritti is born in the jada mind, so the vritti is jada. Okay. Then simultaneously with that, the Atma vritti, that pervades that Ghata vritti. And when the Atma vritti pervades the Ghata vritti, then what is born is the knowledge, which you call Ghata Jnanam. And therefore, in the Ghata vritti, there is Atma vritti or not? In every Ghata Jnanam, there is Atma vritti.
Yes.
Right? Therefore, in every object knowledge, there is Atma vritti. Therefore, anything that you cognize, anything that you recognize, it consists of a thought which is pervaded by Atma. And therefore, every experience of yours, every anubhava of yours, in every anubhava, Atma anubhava is automatically there. Your Atma Chaitanya Swarupam, you are experiencing all the time. You don't need a separate experience for that. And this is the basic difference between Advaita Matam and other Matams. We say that every time that you experience anything, even when you open your eyes in the morning, the thought that my eyes are open, that thought itself is pervaded by Atma Chaitanya. And therefore, every experience that you have is an experience of Atma only. Because Atma Anubhava is there, since Atma is pervading every single thought. There is no thought without Atma in it. So Kena Upanishad, which we'll do next, Pratibodha Viditam Matam. In every experience that you have, Chaitanyam is experienced by us. Right? It is like experiencing the sunlight in every experience of your table and chair. You are looking at the table, right? You are seeing the table. But you are able to see the table only because the table is pervaded by sunlight. Is it not? You are able to see the chair because you are able to, the sunlight is pervading the chair. You don't need a separate experience of the sunlight. In the experience of the table, there is sunlight. In the experience of the chair, there is sunlight. Similarly, in the experience of every object, that is Atma. So in every jnanam, Atma jnanam is automatically present. Otherwise, how can that knowledge be experienced? And therefore, the first thing to understand is that Nididhyasana meditation is not to get Atma Anubhava. This meditation, Nididhyasanam, is to remove the habitual thinking patterns, the worries and insecurities which have always been there inside me. They are all at the subconscious level. And now I have, after Shravanam and Maranam, I have this very firm knowledge that I am Brahman. But that is at my intellectual level. It has not permeated into my subconscious. And all these worries, insecurities, negative refrains, they're all in my subconscious. So one by one, I have to address those. I have to address those feelings, taking each one by one and getting rid of them, consciously comparing them with the knowledge that I am Brahman. Right? So one by one, each of these has to be completely vanquished. one of the most common, you know, questions which are asked by both women and men is to their partners, do you love me? There is always a lingering doubt whether your partner loves you or not. So this craving for love, the craving for security, these are all very deeply, you know, embedded insecurities. And each one of them have to be completely examined, barely have to be examined them, complete examination, make them bare, and then vanquish them. So whether people support me or not, whether people love me or not, I don't require love from anyone. That is the understanding that Nididhyasana must give you. Why? Because I am the very epitome, the Purna Swarupam of love. I can love everybody, whether they love me or not. This discovery alone is called Nididhyasana. This discovery alone has to be made inside you only. It cannot come from outside you. And during Nididhyasanam, you will find that if your Nididhyasanam has been successful, you will find that your expectations will stop. There will be no expectations from your wife, from your husband, from your children, from your parents, even from your guru, there will be no expectations. Each one of these negativities, these habitual thinking patterns, they have to be neutralized through Nididhyasana. So if attachment is my problem, then my meditation is going to be Aham Asangaha. If anger is my problem, then the meditation is going to be Aham Shantaha. If missing people is my problem, what should be my meditation?
Aham Purnatvam.
Aham Purnaha. I am complete by myself. I don't need anybody at all for my happiness. Okay. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to be useful to anybody, but for my happiness, I don't need anybody. And therefore, here in this verse, Shankara gives a few samples of the meditation. So each of these words is a sample. Nirgunaha. I am Nirgunaha. So when does this meditation have to be done? Anytime that I am comparing myself with somebody else. Because there is always someone who is more intelligent than me, or is more beautiful than me, or is more talented than me, or has more money than me. Whenever these thoughts are discovered in your subconscious during a Nididhyasanam, your meditation should be Aham Nirgunaha. I have to remember that all these characteristics, intelligence, beauty, capacity, money, they belong to the object, to the drishyam, not to me. And therefore, I meditate upon myself as Nirguna. And when I find that I have a lot of responsibility in work pressure is there, I am working from morning till night, and some of the ladies who are have a job to do and work at home, they always feel pressurized. Responsibility is there, work pressure is there, work never gets over. Then I have to invoke Nishkriya. I am always free from action. But this body of mine, yes, it has responsibilities, it has work pressure. Therefore, the mental pressure will be gone. Once this particular Nididhyasana is done, meditation is done, you will discover that you as Brahman or as Atma are always free from action. You may be tired, that physically you'll be tired, but mentally you will never retire. Then when the fear of mortality haunts me, Dehi Nityam Avadhyoyam, that meditation from the Gita you can do. So Aham Nityaha. Shankara gives that whole thing in one word, Nitya, Aham Nitya. I am eternal. Where is the question of death? I was never born. Then Nirvikalpaha. I am free from divisions. So when I find that I'm a doer, I'm Pramata, Pramanam, Prameyam, Karta, Karanam, Karyam, all these divisions when I experience, then I meditate saying that I am free from all divisions. Nirvikalpaha. I am Brahman. And Niranjana, simply. Anjanam means dirt or impurity. Niranjanam means Nirmalaha, free from all impurities. And when I find my hair going gray and the first wrinkles appearing on my face, then I meditate, Aham Nirvikaraha. asti, jayate, vardhate, viparinimate, apaksyate, nashyati. These all belong to the body, mind, sense complex only. But I am Atma. And when I find that I am a man, or I am a girl, or I am an old man, or a young boy, Nirakara, all these forms, they don't belong to me. I am Nirakara. And the last one, Nitya Mukto Asmi. I am ever free. Nitya Muktaha. I am always free. I have been free. I am free. I will continue to be free. And therefore, there is no sadhana necessary for me to become Brahman. I was Brahman. I am Brahman. I will continue to be Brahman. That fact is never going to change, in spite of all the problems that my body, mind, sense complex will face in this world. And therefore, this moksha, liberation, kaivalyam, it's nothing to be acquired. It is an ever-existent reality, a fact. All I have to do is own up to that fact. And as long as you look forward to moksha, you are not liberated. The moment you stop looking forward to moksha, for moksha, you are liberated. You are a Jivan Mukta. The moment you say, I don't need moksha, I have already got moksha, I have always been Jivan Mukta. Where is the question of my not being Jivan Mukta? I am Brahman, I am Atman. But if you're looking forward to it and doing sadhana for that, it is like, traveling the ocean, trying to reach the place where the sky meets the waters, trying to meet the horizon. You can keep on traveling, it will never be there. And therefore, Nirmalaha is a repetition of Niranjanaha. So there are two words here. One is Niranjanaha, one is Nirmalaha. Both mean free of impurities. And therefore, Niranjana can be taken to be free of borrowed impurities because of Sangatvam. And Nirmala can be taken to be free of impurities which are natural to you. So pure nature, uncontaminated by any external impurity, is the meaning of the two words Nirmala Niranjanaha. Okay, I'll stop in case you have any questions. All beautiful slokas meant for meditation. Will be understood easily by people who have done Bhagavad Gita. And
I understand the free from borrowed impurities is Niranjanam, but
Yes.
I don't understand what is Nirmal that are natural to me.
You can have that. There are two types of impurities, one within you and one because of your circumstances. So here, by use of both the words, what he is saying is that naturally also you are pure. Not only that, you cannot be contaminated by anything. Like space. Space is free of impurities naturally also. And also nothing can contaminate space. So those two ideas are being conveyed by using these two words.
So even Achala has been used as the last word. Even that is a meditation verse.
Achala, one second.
The last.
We are on the which verse now?
Next verse,
30, Achala.
35.
Nirmalo,
is in 35.
35. Achala, we have not come to that as yet.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's look at verse number 35 then. So he says, Aham Akashavat Sarvam. You can understand. Aham Sarvam Akashavat. What does it mean? Aham
I am
Sarvam Akashavat.
like the sky,
No,
like space,
I am like
space,
space,
Mm.
which means what? I am all pervading.
all pervasive.
I am there everywhere. And he says, the next word, Bahir Antargataha Achyutaha. Achyutaha is pure, changeless, pure actually. So Bahir Antargataha. Outside and inside, I am pure. And Sada Sarva Samashuddaha. Samashuddaha means very pure. Sada means always. I am always the same. Sada Sama Shuddha. I am always pure. I'm always the same. I don't get changed. And Nirmala is used again. So Nisangaha Nirmala Achala. Nisangaha means unattached. I have no sangatvam. Nirmala is a repetition. I am pure. Achala means I am steady and I am motionless. So aham akashavat sarvam bahirantargato chitaha. I am all pervading. I feel everything like space, outside and inside. I am pure. My nature does not change, which means what? The purnatvam, which is my nature, can never become apurnaha. And there is no question, therefore, of my feeling insecure, because a purna entity can never be insecure. And since achalaha is changeless, that purnatvam can never become apurnatvam, and therefore I will never feel insecure. And just as fire can never lose its heat, I can never lose my purnatvam. Purnatvam is another name for moksha swarupaha. The fact that I am Brahman, the fact that I am infinite, I am complete. And therefore he uses the word achyuta, the one who never loses his intrinsic nature. That nature remains the same. And sada sarva sama shuddha. So you can add this sada everywhere. Sada bahir, sada antargataha, sada achyutaha, sada sarvaha, sada samaha, sada shuddha. Sama here means same. And the sama is a very important word. Same in all beings. The Atma is not different in humans or in animals or in plants or in mountains. Whether it be a conscious being or an unconscious being, whether it be a human being or an animal or any other lower being, Atma is the same. And can you recall the same idea expressed in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, those who regularly chant? What is the verse? All this should be at your fingertips by now.
Kshetra, something.
No, something. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyatu vinashyatvam yah pashyati sapashyati. I am the same. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. This Atma remains the same in all beings. Vinashyati vinashyantam yah pashyati. The one who sees the indestructible in the destructible, that is only the person who sees. Very beautiful verse. I think it is the 27th verse of chapter 13. I'm very sure, but I think so. Then, so he's saying the nature of the Atma is the same in all, which means what? There are only two pieces of all living beings, the Atma and the Anatma. In fact, even in non-living beings, you can say Atma and Atma is there. But differences belong to what? The Nama Rupa only, the Anatma. And there was a verse in Drik Drishya Viveka which expressed this. There are 5 qualities, it said. 3 belong to Atma and 2 belong to Anatma. Does anybody remember what that verse is? You don't. All these verses, they have to be at your fingertips, at the tip of your tongue, if you have to understand all this. So it said that there is Sat, Chit, Ananda and Nama Rupa. The first 3 belong to Brahman. The last 2, Nama Rupa, belong to Atma. So the differences belong to the last 2, Nama Rupa. Satchit Ananda, which is Brahman, that Swarupa is the same for everybody. And therefore, whenever in my life I find that other people are bothering me, this is the meditation. The essential root of all is Atma. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. All that is you have to remember immediately. The moment you get irritated with somebody, samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram. If you are assimilated, your anger will vanish immediately. The differences belong to the Anatma, the body and the mind alone. In Vyavaharika, these roles have to be played, right? There are so many people and there were so many roles. But it is good to remember that there is no such thing as a perfect relationship. So in relationships, human relationships, there is no formula for success. But I have found that there is one formula which is guaranteed failure. You know what that is? What is the formula which you can use for guaranteed failure?
Expectation.
I have expectations.
Expectations.
Trying to please
Attachment.
everybody, trying to please everybody is guaranteed failure. And therefore, he's actually saying, Shankara is saying that you will have problems all your time, all your life, there will be problems. So don't wait to be content for a time when there are no problems. So we often say this, so many problems, I'm just waiting for a day when I can have no problems. Don't wait for a time when you have no problems. Learn to be content in the middle of the problems. Sitting in the marketplace, you should be learned to be a yogi. Learn to accept that there is no perfection in this world. Accept old age, accept ill health, accept imperfections. Accept that as long as relationships are there in your life, problems cannot be avoided. And therefore he says, Nissanga, free from all relationships. In the middle of all relationships, but still free from them all. Like what? Akashavat, like this space. And Nirmalo Achalaha, free from impurities and motionless, changeless. Akashavat again. So if you can see, there has been repetition of the word pure 3 times. And you can interpret this as Sthula Sharira Malarahita. That is free of the impurity of Sthula Shariram, free of the impurities of Sukshma Shariram, and free of the impurities of Karana Shariram. Okay. Now we will look at this last verse for today, 36th verse. So Nitya Shuddha Vimukta Ekam. So Nitya Shuddha, always pure, Ekam, non-dual, Vimuktaha, free from. So Akhanda Anandam Advayam, undivided Ananda, which is not dual. Akhanda Ananda, not dual. Satyam Jnanam Anantam, the very definition of Brahman. You will find this definition when we do Taittiriya Upanishad. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, that's how it goes. So Yat Param Brahma Aham Eva Tat. That Param Brahma, I only am. So you have to add Nitya to each of these words. In the first, Nitya Shuddhaha, Nitya Vimuktaha, Nitya Aikyaha, Nitya Akhandaha. That Nitya is an adjective to be added to each of these words. Why is this important? Because other darshanas, for example, Vishishta Advaita, it says that Paramatma is non-dual before Srishti begins. During Srishti, Paramatma becomes many, multiples. And again, when Pralayam starts, it becomes Ekam again. So, Vishishta Advaita theory is that Ekam Paramatma exists before Srishti. During Srishti, this same Paramatma becomes Anekaha and becomes Ekam again after Pralayam. So if you look at that, they believe in a flowing movement from Advaitam to Dvaitam and back to Advaitam. That is why we still say Advaita, Vishishta Advaita. There is a very special sort of Advaita. That Advaita which converts into Dvaitam during Srishti and then comes back. And what do we, Vedantic Advaitam, say? We say before Srishti, there was Advaitam. After Pralayam, there is Advaitam. During Srishti, we say Advaitam is there. But we add, yes, there is an appearance of Dvaitam. So during Srishti, there is only the appearance of Dvaitam. It is not really Dvaitam. It is a superimposition, an adhyasa. And therefore, he says Akhanda Anandaha. The usage of Akhanda Ananda is important over here. Because there can be Khanda Ananda also. Khanda means division, right? So divided Ananda means Ananda which is not always present. And there are Ananda which comes and goes. That is Khanda Ananda. That is experienced Ananda. Any experience of happiness is dependent upon the reflecting medium. And it comes when the reflecting medium comes. And it goes when the reflecting medium goes. Therefore, Khanda Ananda, divided Ananda is there, which is dependent upon all vrittis. Vrittis have a beginning and an end. All these are products of what? Of the RC, reflected consciousness, which itself is finite. Why? Because it is dependent upon the reflecting medium. Okay. What about Ananda in Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi? Is that Khanda Ananda or Akhanda Ananda? It is Khanda Ananda only, because Samadhi is over, that Ananda goes away. Whereas for the Advaitin, Akhanda Ananda is Swarupa Ananda. The Ananda principle itself, it is constantly present. It can never go away because it is your very own nature. The only difference is, for the manifestation of that Ananda principle, you require a reflecting medium. But whether the reflecting medium is there or not, the Swarupa Ananda, the consciousness principle, is always present. In the absence of reflecting medium, it is Swarupa Ananda. In the presence of reflecting medium, it is Swarupa Ananda plus Ananda Vritti. The reflected Ananda is also there. And that Swarupa Ananda is who I am. And so he says, Yat Param Brahma Aham Eva Tat. That supreme Brahman I am. What kind of Brahman? He gives the definition from Taittiriya. Satyam Jnanam Anantam. That Brahman is described as Satyam Jnanam Anantam. What is Satyam? Trikale Tishtati iti Sat. I'm assuming that you remember your Tattva-bodha. What is Jnanam here? Jnanam is not Vritti Jnanam. It is Swarupa Chaitanyam only, pure consciousness. Anantam here is infinite, not limited by space. So remember this definition. When you say Satchit Ananda is the definition of Brahman, it actually has its root in this Taittiriya Upanishad definition, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. And that is why we say that Ananda, Satchit Ananda, Ananda, the Ananda of Satchidananda, that has to be equated to Ananta over here, infinite, not limited by space or time. What is the significance of Ananta Jnanam, happiness not limited by anything, time and space? It is the consciousness principle itself, pure Ananda, not dependent upon any reflecting medium, any object at all. And we have to learn to claim ourselves as this Swarupa Ananda, not dependent upon any object in this universe, not dependent upon any reflecting medium. This is the Nididhyasana. Dropping of expectations from people or events or from this very universe itself, right? This is basically what Nididhyasana is. You need not try to change anybody. You can only try to change yourself. So this Ananda, it's a state of no expectation at all. No expectation from Shishya, no expectation from Guru, no expectation from son, wife, husband, father, mother, friends, relatives, neighbors. There are no expectations. Expectation-less state of mind is Ananda.
Om Acharya ji,
Yeah.
ideally this would mean no expectations from ourselves also.
Again, I'll ask you to define yourself.
If I say I am Brahman, then nothing.
Who is
comes.
saying I am Brahman?
Then there are no words to describe it. I am I.
You cannot say you're Brahman. And Brahman certainly cannot say you're Brahman. It is only the RC which says I am the OC. OC has no way of expressing any words. OC doesn't have any mind, any organs to say anything, isn't it?
Right? It's a subjective perception. I am I. So
It is not subjective
it's a way
perception.
of
It is what you are. You are in this world, in the Vyavaharika world, you are the reflected consciousness. That reflected consciousness, the RC is the one which can make all these statements through use of intellect only. But the OC can never say anything. And that is why we say at that point of time, your basically words don't reach anywhere.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so with this, I have to stop because it's got something else to do. So, Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you so much.